Enter madman, stage left. The audience rises and holds their breath. They let the vampires into their house, pretend they don't see when the teeth come out. Put a band-aid on their throat. No one wants to rock the boat, and no one wants to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. The curtain rises and the players come out. Webs of light spinning from their mouths. Stop looking, listen for a little while. Attention to the men behind the curtain. Just look away when you see the blood spurting down to a steady drip. I promise to leave you a little bit. I'll be back for another drink tomorrow. I love the taste of your terror and your sorrow bathing in your blood. It's never enough. But no one wants to talk about it. It's safer not to talk about it. I cut my strings, no more bowing to the master. I tried to run, but they only came faster. Now I stand my ground. I ain't backing down. Silver bullets in my pistol, in my holster. My will is strengthened and my confidence is bolstered. Don't test my resolve. Don't test my resolve.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. It is Sunday, February the 12th, 2023. My name is Cliff. I'm joined by Tim and Dustin, and we're coming to you live from Carter County, Tennessee, right here in the middle of the Iron Mountain. Got a little snowstorm going, well, not a storm, but a little snow coming down here, a little bit late in the season for us, but it's nice to have a little. I just hope it doesn't kill my peach tree. I hope because it's just started to, not really bud, but just starting a little bit act like it wanted to, so hopefully that doesn't happen.
You'll have to go to the country so you can eat a lot of peaches.
That's right. Well, that was my plan, is to move to the country and grow my own peaches, but the frost has killed them the last few years. Like, when I get a good crop, it's like 200-300 pounds of peaches from my one tree. It's a crazy amount of peaches. But it'll like pull all the limbs down, and I'll have to prop them up so they don't break, and it just goes insane. But the last few years, it's budded and then frozen, so I've not got any good peaches out of it. Say hello in the chat. Definitely go in there and follow us on our Rumble page. Put the description in the video, or put the link in the description so you can go down there and just click on it, go straight to Rumble, and you can send us an email at theironmountainhour@gmail.com. If you wouldn't care, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already before we get into the topics tonight. How y'all doing?
Someone should make a channel called Royal Rumble, so you could say it's Royal Rumble on Rumble.
I bet somebody's done that. What's up, Sean? Nice to have you in the chat, brother.
Pretty unpopulated on there right now, so maybe there's a chance to snag it. What is
Let's see here.
It's,
Sean?
let's get ready to rumble.
I also have the idea that maybe we should do. I'm trying to work in a Barney Rubble reference here, even though I know that's boomer talk. I don't care. It's stupid. And I'm also trying to work in a Rubble Rubble, which would be a Hamburglar reference. So my mind's all over the place today as we are looking at Elon Musk. What are we looking at this one?
I was just looking at the Royal on Rumble to see if there was a Royal Rumble. There's a Royal yeah, it's somebody else's. Let's see here.
So
The Royal Rogue.
there's no Royal Rumble, I'm telling you.
Doesn't
You're
look
probably
like
getting sued by
WWF or
Yeah.
whatever they are now.
you could got the Rumble Royal.
I miss those old Battle Royal Rumbles. Those were fun.
Well, we could watch old wrestling.
We could.
Ras.
Do you want to do that one, night filler?
I did watch. I watched a clip from WW. I guess it was still WWF at the time, but it was like 1996, 97, and it was one of those big pay-per-view matches. And this one was the end of it when pretty much every wrestler came out, did their finishing move on somebody, knocked them out, and then somebody came up behind them and did their finishing move, and that was pretty fun. And you could really see how good those guys were. They were pros, and there was like 20 guys laying in the ring, and they're being real careful to move the chairs and stuff out of the way so people don't land on them. And, you know, everybody gets knocked out and then rolls conveniently out of the way. But if you're not really paying attention for it, you know, you don't notice it. Yeah, that's right.
Lord have mercy. You wanted to see. I know you've probably seen some pretty epic family blow-ups, like because of a sporting event or something like that. One of the biggest freak out moments I've ever seen was I was sitting at my grandma's house. She lived in just a single wide trailer, so everybody would kind of like, if the living room was full of couches and stuff, the next group of people would sit in the kitchen, and then the next people would be down the hall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
so you could see, yeah.
Single wide or whatever. And they were watching, I don't remember what it was. I remember The Undertaker was in it, whichever one that was. And it was the night that he came busting up out of the ring. Everybody in their house jumped so hard the trailer went, whoa. I thought it was going to roll over because of wrestling.
Yeah, I believe that. That was exciting, and especially that was in like the Undertaker and Mankind and Kane days.
And yes, people, they knew it was fake, and
Yeah.
I mean, back then I did think it was really goofy, and I kind of was snarky about it. But looking back on it now, it's like no different than watching like the X-Files or something.
Yeah,
you know it's
fun,
fake.
yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
that was so funny when he came busting up out of the ring. Everybody's whoa. The trailer rock.
No, I think everybody knew somebody. We did when at least when I was a kid. My friends, we all liked to watch it, but you know, none of us thought it was real.
Liked to watch it. I just wasn't allowed to because it was like that's not in our house, and I was kind of anti anything my stepbrother liked it when we were in high school for some reason. And but I started watching it. My granddad watched it, so I literally watched it from the early days when it was like Ric Flair all the way up into the NWO and all that crap, and then until whenever, I don't know. I haven't watched it in a really long time, but to say it wasn't entertaining is just kind of stupid because it is really entertaining.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
I enjoyed playing the video games back in the day.
Yeah, I agree.
That was more fun to watch.
THC ones that you're talking about?
THQ.
THQ ones.
You got something else on the brain.
Yeah, it was THQ ones. Yeah, cause I think it has the dude that looks like Pepsi Man. He's like half gray and half black.
Yeah. Well,
He was THQ Man.
And you grab them and you'd punch with different button. You'd hit the button as fast as you can. Whoever you were fighting, whoever punched their button the faster would do their move. And then you had combinations and reversals, and it was pretty fun.
The good early days of.
Depends on which. There were so many different variants on every console.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's just like it was like the good days, like the early days of where more than two people could play the same game. Is why it was so fun. It was. I mean, going back on it now, yes, it would probably be pretty shitty.
Yeah.
Just somebody who's been playing Call of Duty or something. But back then, when you're used to two people switching sides on Mario and stuff like that, all of a sudden you can play four people on GoldenEye. That was really fun.
We were playing GoldenEye the other day.
Is it the new one?
They put it on Game Pass, so I was playing, and it's just still shitty looking, and you can definitely tell it's dated to now first person standards.
I saw somebody put. I mean, I would guarantee it would look horrible if I went back and looked at it now, but just I would accept
It's
it.
still fun, but
That's what
it's
I'm
just
saying,
like. But at
yeah.
times you're like, God, so cheap.
Somebody said.
It's like you get the rocket launcher and you fire the rocket and it doesn't go off, and you're like, because it clips out into the floor, and you're like,
oh, that game's buggy as hell. Yeah.
you're like,
That's why the speed runs are so interesting on it because you can do so much clipping and stuff. Somebody said that the new version that they released for like Xbox and stuff was a disappointment, but I don't know why because I'm too lazy to read the articles because I don't read. Need to look this way on it. Quiet on the people just listening.
Oh no, you're good. I've got to set up. Actually, I need to bring this guy in just a little bit more there. But yeah, we should be. I got stereo sound set up now, so we should be.
I heard that the Xbox one was a disappointment, but I don't know if it was just because they were expecting like a giant jump like Skyrim did, like in graphics, when in reality all it looked like they did was texture their faces a little bit more. Because the original GoldenEye characters are probably some of the worst looking characters you could get, but the gameplay was really fun.
Yeah.
And made up for it.
It's still that N64 version. It's just been smoothed to upscale so it can be played on HD TV.
Oh, okay. Do they still ragdoll?
We just played multiplayer. We had DK mode on, so we all look. Yeah, everyone's all deformed looking anyway.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Got Odd Job yet? Like that's the most chaotic way to do it. Is everybody has Odd Job
on little.
Yeah, you can't hit each other.
We didn't use him just for that sheer factor. It's like it ain't fair.
It ain't fair, but I was
even if you use DK mode, you're like you're still too little.
I didn't play a lot of GoldenEye, but when I played on N64, I mean, I did play some. We usually played the wrestling games or the football games that were
what was it?
on N64.
Blitz. Did you like that one?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh
yeah. That's what it was. Yeah, that was like the NBA Jam type. It was like the NBA Jam type football.
It was really close to just normal football, except that like it was just really. It was kind of like battle chess. Like I didn't really like playing chess when I was in high school, but I liked watching the guys cut each other in half and stuff.
Yeah.
So like NFL Blitz, it was really funny because they like suplex each other while they was tackling them. God, that was slow though. Remember, it would take so long for the guy to cut them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I was like, computer graphics though. So I was patient.
What was really fun is for like NFL Blitz is the arcade cabinet version.
I don't think I ever played it in arcade.
I saw it in the arcade, and I'm sure the graphics were a giant jump from 64. But it was
not really.
No,
they were basically.
Okay, never mind. I guess I'm forgetting that was like back in the days of like Tekken and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was still pretty blocky in arcades, the 3D games anyway. Now the 2D sprite-based games in the arcade, those were pretty badass by then.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to say the PS1 did not age well. If you go back and play it now, like it does that weird.
The look of it, yeah, it's
it's got like in San Francisco Rush. If you compare those two games side by side with that and the 64, it's like it really makes that one look bad on the PS1. But I guess the vast array of games on the PS1, the fact that it had some pretty good legacy titles makes up for it. But man, it really whacks my eyes watching it shift like that.
Yeah. There are, but then there's also like Resident Evil 2 looks horrible. That N64 port.
Yeah, it's like the whole thing is like soft-celled.
Yeah, it was absolutely horrible because it was amazing that they fit.
They just had to squeeze it on that cartridge.
Yeah, that they had to squeeze all of it onto the media constriction, which was amazing, but it was so compressed and it ran. Oh, it's gross.
Yeah, it did look really. Of course, people that were only had the 64. And didn't see the PlayStation for it. They didn't know that those video clips were so much smoother on the PlayStation. So I didn't until way down the road when I had somebody else had a PlayStation was showing. I was like, oh, whoa.
I never played any of the Resident Evil on N64.
I had the second one.
I played most of them. Played that Mario game was pretty good though.
I thought the 64
Mario 64
had plenty of good games, but it had plenty of filler too. There's some pretty garbage games on the 64, but that's all systems, I guess.
Yeah. The thing I liked always with the original PlayStation and well into the PlayStation 2 is just the amount of fun RPGs.
Yeah.
Yeah, well they took over the Final Fantasy sagas. Yeah. Was one of the big things.
Yeah, dude, I had when Final Fantasy VII started being talked about in the gaming magazines and stuff. I had played Final Fantasy 3 on Super Nintendo. It was super hard for me to track down a copy, and then I finally did. And
actual 3 or 6?
Yeah, no, it was an actual 3. Yeah, okay. 6. Final Fantasy 3 for
what's up, Alvin?
The Real Cause of Death for Rick Rude. I don't know about that, Alvin. Tell us about it.
No.
But I finally tracked it down. And I was looking for I wanted Final Fantasy VII. First they said it was going to be on the Ultra 64, which came to be the Nintendo 64. Then they said it was going to be on the Sega Saturn. And then, so I like gambled and I went ahead and, asked for a Saturn for Christmas from my mom. She got it for me. And then it turned out it was only going to be on PlayStation exclusive.
Neither of them.
So yeah, I ended up.
I like that Saturn.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a few good games on it. The Knights into Dreams was pretty good.
I never played a Saturn.
Panzer Dragoon 2 was pretty good.
Yeah, that one.
Like the main Virtua Cop 2 and Daytona and the arcade games that it came with were pretty good. But it wasn't really a lot of good games you could get for it, and you really couldn't find them around here. I mean, you go to the Toys R Us even, and they'd have like 5 games to pick from. And they were all like $70. So, yeah, it was definitely a bad choice on my behalf. But I'm also the one who I would buy something else just to be different. Like I wanted the TurboGrafx 16 just because nobody else had one.
I've
And I
never
saw the
met somebody
commercials.
that has a TurboGrafx. I don't.
Well, let me tell you, you're not missing anything. They had I wanted to like it, and I had to like it to protect my ego to a certain extent because I had
I mean, I've seen it.
had
It's
invested
not
it.
impressive. I just never met someone who had it.
Yeah,
until
no,
now.
it's not great.
My only experience is her watching the videos from Angry Video Game Nerd
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I've watched some gameplay
There were a few decent games, but you had to have the TurboGrafx CD to be able to get them, and that was another like twice as much as the original console. And like you could get like Forgotten Worlds, and I think the Bonk games were pretty good actually. I forgot about them.
Now, I'll tell you a system that I had that not a
Sega
lot of.
CD.
Yeah, that wasn't sold very much.
Nope. One.
I had the Master System, which was the Sega version equivalent to the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I never met somebody else who had one of those. And
I had a friend named S that had it. And it was pretty
Did
good. Yeah.
I have to say, I actually, even though Nintendo had, had a better reign as far as like Mario and had, some pretty good games, I have to say, I actually thought the Master System had some better games than the Nintendo.
Like Shinobi was badass.
Shinobi.
Shinobi and Shinobi 2.
Yes.
That's probably the only ones I remember
Space
playing.
Harrier was really fun.
Oh yeah.
Considine was a really good game. There's a bunch of good ones on that system.
Never played really anything on the Master System. I didn't get into Sega till Genesis, but I liked a lot of, even though sometimes the sound wasn't as good on the Genesis ports as compared to say like a Super Nintendo port or something else. But I don't know. I liked some of the graphical interfaces were a little more fun on the Sega.
You might be
like the Mortal
looking
Kombat variants on it were better. They were always a little better on that because they weren't as censored.
Yeah, you could put the blood code in, but they still didn't. I mean, the Super Nintendo one I thought looked better, but
well, by the time
the
they
blood
got to
and the
2,
real
they added
fatalities.
the blood back in. It was exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
You might be more fond of what's known as the American Sega, though, because Japan Sega and America Sega, they kind of operated independently, and around the time they wanted to launch in the U.S., because the Sega Master System was a cool system that there's no edge to it whatsoever until Sonic came along, which was when they hired this dude in America who was a part of the Sega America to appeal to the broader audience, and he came up with the idea that we need to have a character that is sort of an asshole, and that's where that came from. And Sega was, they're Japanese. They were like, we don't like this idea that
we don't understand what you mean by anti-hero.
Yeah, they don't really like the idea of. They didn't really like the idea of being connected to someone.
The hero should
edgy,
be not dishonorable. He should be honorable.
Yeah, they didn't like the idea, especially because some of his stuff was he wanted to go to war with Nintendo, and they were like, well, that's kind of attacking your enemy is attacking yourself. There was all this like philosophy they had. So they told him, yes, you can get us into the American audience, but we're kind of not. We're going to let you do what you're going to do because we don't really like some of the tactics you're wanting to use.
We're not into that.
And one of the things they really didn't like was the logo, was the audio. We call it the hook, where it's just that guy screaming Sega.
Sega!
They said it was irritating and rude.
Yeah, it is.
It's like it is, but that was the point, to kind of get the Attitude Era started.
The ad campaigns back then, Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah. It's arrogant. Now I tell you, the sound system for the Genesis did not sound as good as the Super Nintendo,
No.
but it sounded better for some games like Earthworm Jim.
Yeah.
Ow!
It sounded better because the audio is grittier, and I think it may even be AVGN that mentioned that, but I actually got to try it out on the system. I was like, they're right. This game fits this system where it's like burpy or something.
Well, jump in the chat. Tell us your
Tell us
fond
about Earthworm
memories.
Jim and the
Yeah.
Earthworm
Burpiness.
Jim was amazing.
I'm nude.
Tell us what games you played growing up. Do you still game? I do
Boogerman.
occasionally. Boogerman. It was
that was a fun game.
it was kind of like a Mega Man ripoff, but like the
I played
Garbage
it.
Pail Kids version
Well,
of
it's like
Mega Man, I
he-
guess.
Okay, he was a super. I forgot how he got his powers, but he was a superhero, and he would flick boogers that would kill the enemies,
I remember the
and he would
character.
burp and fart, and you could actually get you could eat like a
Oh, I'm thinking
chili. You could eat like these chili peppers and get it. You could actually fly because flames would shoot out of your butt.
yeah.
I remember this now. I
It
never
was
played
great.
it, but I remember the ad for it in the magazines.
And that reminded me of Vector Man.
Wasn't there like a backwards butt enemy? There was an enemy in the magazine that it was like a pair of man's legs turned this way, but where the ass is turned on the front and then lopped off at the top, and it would walk towards him and fart.
Probably.
I don't remember.
I'm not making this up, but I could be. Don't worry about it. Move on with your lives.
All right.
Just let it
Well,
hang.
we have the Google.
That's
No,
right.
that's what I'm saying. Don't just let it hang in mystery. We don't need to know.
Joe
So
Barry
that's where
says-
they got the
What's up, Joe?
thing for
He's
it.
talking about
Cheese it?
Super Mario Bionic Commando and Area 51. Yeah, Area 51 was a good
Area
one.
51.
I want to buy an arcade port of that. I like to my house.
That's a good one. Our old boss had one in his house, and it was pretty fun.
I wonder if they make a VR version of it.
I bet they
Oh
do.
god, that'd
That'd
be
be cool.
horrible.
Horrible.
I can't do VR stuff.
You can't do VR.
It makes me sick,
It would probably make me sick too because my vision's not great.
Well,
and it throws my equilibrium off because my brain's like, "You're not moving. Why is the visual input saying you're moving?"
So if you could fix that part, would you be okay with
I
it?
don't know.
Because I think I would get motion sickness.
I got motion sick. Oh god, I remember with the Oculus. It's like I was playing a Star Wars game, and you had to like still move around and stuff. And there was a thing you had to climb, and every time you had to do the action, you went up another rung on the ladder. My stomach just dropped. I'm gonna puke if I continue playing this.
I went to there was that I don't want to say the name of it, but there was a place in the mall that had VR, and they had this game that had like it could either be a motorcycle or a wave runner, right? And when you get on the thing, if it's a motorcycle,
Sorry, yo.
you go to turn like a motorcycle and kind of lean and turn the wheel out, the opposite way that you're going and ride on the outside of the tire. If you've ever ridden a motorcycle and you try to play this thing, it wants you to do it completely backwards. So if you're wanting to go left, you're supposed to just turn the handlebar left. And I could not do that thing. The other VR things, they were all right. It didn't really make me sick or anything. They were pretty fun. But that one, it really screwed with me because if you turn the bike this way and push the handlebar forward a little bit, you'll turn to the left, and it was completely opposite, and that really screwed me up because it'd run me into everything. Alvin says, y'all talking about what I went shopping for my kids' Christmas gifts. Yeah. Yeah, those were the good old days.
Da-da-na. Glory days. All right.
Well, a big thing in a lot of those games, they had a lot of UFO games and a lot of space
person
aliens
Area
and
51.
yeah, Area 51. Well, we've seen a bunch of UFO stuff over the last week, like a whole bunch. So it started with that Chinese weather balloon they said, which Tim, I think,
Just a theory. I don't know. Maybe it's ours.
well, I think you may be onto something. I saw something about having English writing on it when they were scavenging the parts or whatever you call recovering the parts. So who knows? It's
Maybe
all.
Canada's attacking us. Or maybe it's trying to traffic some stuff. That's why they don't want to shoot it down because there's people inside.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
See, I think I can make shit up that's more plausible than what's actually going on.
Or more plausible than what they tell us is actually going on, for sure. We still haven't really had any definitive answers on what that was. They said it's a Chinese spy balloon, and the Chinese were like, oh, you don't have to shoot it. And they were like, oh, yeah, let's not shoot it until it gets over the ocean. And all the way across. So if it was spying on people, it was able to go ahead and view everything. But then again, you never know. They could have been known it was there and been feeding it information strategically. So, everybody's talking about, oh, they should have shut it down with Trump. It never would have got out of the country. Like, you don't know what's going on. So, I mean, we're all have our opinion. We can all speculate, but
The biggest thing is, what is it covering up that they don't want us to know?
that's
Well,
what
it
I'm
is.
thinking about.
Because it's like, things start coming out, and it's like, hey, there's this dumb, bad stuff the government's doing. Hey, look, weather balloons.
Yes, and all the news actually pointed right at it.
It's like,
You know what it is? Okay. China has a policy called Meibanfa, which is not my problem, not my problem, right? So whatever, it's just right. But they have they set so many laws and then enforce none of them that they can arrest you for anything. I know we had this talk that you said they're doing the same thing to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just say that's the truth. What were we talking about just now?
You're talking about the balloon and me
The
balloon.
balloon. Okay, yeah. What if those balloons are already there and they left them? That way, if we ever needed a distraction, then go, balloon. And I kind of had the thought that maybe it was just fentanyl. That's where it all comes from China. All the fentanyl comes from China, and they've been scanning, and the ports are all locked down because of COVID still. They just float a big balloon up there.
You know, and that's funny. They talk about, it doesn't. There's no fentanyl coming across the open southern border. It all gets caught at the ports. It's like, you dummies. That's where you catch it, because that's where you're looking. If you're not looking over the border, you can't say it's not coming in over the border because you're not looking. But I've seen like the Cato Institute and like libertarian places say that, well, it's not actually a problem that the border.
They put it exactly where they wanted it to. Yeah. It went to Myrtle Beach, exactly where it was intended to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
they didn't shoot it down.
That's right where they put it down. They just waited until it got to where it's going, yeah.
They shot another one down. Where'd it land?
Well, they shot a bunch of things down. This is the fourth one. Today, they shot down the fourth one in a week. Now, this one, it was over Lake Huron.
Which is?
That was up in between Michigan and Minnesota, right? Or between Michigan and Canada.
Just another delivery.
Yeah.
Here's your fentanyl, guys.
So, yeah, here we go. Here's Lake Huron.
Tell me they didn't drop one in Ohio.
This is where they shot down.
If you're going to show me one landed in Ohio.
Oh, we're going to talk about Ohio.
It's fentanyl.
Just wait. We're going to get into some Ohio. This is from Zero Hedge, and they shut down part of Lake Michigan Sunday, and all we heard was it was to support Department of Defense activity, and then they closed it for commercial and civilian air traffic, and then FAA and the NORAD implemented its North American Aerospace Defense. Okay. They implemented a temporary flight restriction airspace over Lake Michigan, so a couple of different places here it was shut down. And Lake Huron is where they actually shot something down, they said, and of course, no.
Shoot it down in Canada?
No word what it is. Well, there was something shot down in Canada. There's something shot down north coast of Alaska. Something shot down, and what's funny is it said Trudeau ordered the thing shot down in Canada. Like, how did Trudeau order the U.S. F-22s to shoot down something in Canada? But that's what the news says. Here's Express.uk. Canada's Trudeau orders U.S. warplane to shoot down an unidentified object in airspace.
Probably doesn't want to be associated with actually using weapons or something. So
yeah. So yeah, that's what Express reports, is that Trudeau ordered it shot down. So I mean, I guess if there's there's some agreement with Canada with NORAD. I'm pretty sure NORAD does cover all of North America, so they may have some agreement where, over Canada, then they require an order from the Prime Minister to shoot something down. I don't know. Let's see. Alvin says, company that I sent you the link on has the same balloon floating over the upper Midwest. Honey Pie, what's up? It's called Not My Monkeys, Not My Circus. Let's check that out. Oh, Not My Circus, Not My Monkeys.
You give me some monkeys, I'll make a circus, by God.
Barrel of them.
You got all you need for one. Is that what you sent me in the email the other day, Alvin, or did you send that today?
Monkeys?
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah, here.
Alvin's into blondes, I see.
The X Moonshot Factory. That's an impressive website. I didn't really get a chance to check it out, Alvin, yet.
Zipping and zooming. It's giving me
Public X Project. Yeah, they do.
Give me seizure.
Radical New Technologies.
One of those smart poles?
Yeah, everything's smart. Everything.
Facial recognition on a fucking fish?
Yeah, evidently.
Okay.
Facial recognition.
X.company. So I wonder if it's related to Elon Musk and his, he wants to create X, the ultimate website there. And this is kind of doing like a lot of the things that he's talking about, huh?
Well, Elon's first website was X.com.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe,
he said that's why he wants to buy. That's why he wants to buy Twitter, he wants to make it into like the
What is this? What is this?
something. It's something Alvin sent me the other day. He says he's not sure who they are, but
we need to do.
They're kind of into all the same stuff. Yeah, I hadn't had a chance to look into it yet, Alvin. Is that what you're talking about? Let's see. Not my monkeys, not my circus. I didn't get anything like called that. Let's look here. Not my monkey. It already knows.
Your John Redcorn song. Not my monkey, not my circus.
You know, it's funny. I was talking to Beaves, and we were talking about we need to have a only King of the Hill allowed in the chat. It has to be a King of the Hill, or we could do Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. You're only allowed to communicate.
There's a hole in my pocket.
There's a hole in a hole. Big old
We
hole.
can do one day where the nothing but the chat's Army of Darkness.
Oh, I'm sure he's talking about. He must be talking about your Chinese thing.
Yeah. What he just said.
Not my monkeys, not my circus.
Yeah.
It must be. Let's see here. This is.
Mebonfa.
Yeah, Mebonfa. It's a Polish saying. It says. He was stationed in Aberdeen Proving Grounds in the 70s, and this is the kind of stuff that was sequestered on the base, not the civilian world. Yeah. The clown balloon, yes. Clown world, yes it is, honey pie.
We're all looking at balloons.
Yeah, we are.
A man attached to
Yep.
one of them.
Yeah, it's that movie Up.
Boy Scout. The talking dogs.
We're all distracted by all these things up in the air, and there's, it's constantly what's on the news for the last week. Everybody look up. Everybody look up. So usually when these news corporations and stuff want you to look up. Oh, okay. Gotcha, Alvin. They're pointing us up all the time, and
we should be looking down. Mystery.
Yeah, maybe there's
baby.
something else we should be looking at. But let's keep looking here. We got Ugandan Air Force investigating a series of flashing lights, and who knows? Maybe they could be like this Twitter user who. My brother just sent us from Hove, Montana, and what's this? And that's pretty obviously Venus and Jupiter.
Oh, is it people that are seeing stuff?
Where people that don't normally look at the sky are seeing the UFO, and they're like, holy crap. But then there's also some weird shit out there, too.
I was thinking, and I know we've mentioned this, and maybe I just want to get
Look. I believe that's what Uganda's looking at, but that's what I was actually joking, saying maybe they were seeing. That's what it looks like. It looks like Venus and Jupiter.
We could get the chat and ask them what they think.
I don't know why. Just mentioning Uganda, the old meme, the Ugandan knuckles.
I don't know that one.
That came from the Coney 2020 thing, didn't it?
Huh?
Coney was in Uganda, and I just remember.
Okay, what?
That's the way my brain is crisscrossed like that. That I cannot have Uganda knuckles. I can't have that because that was so mixed up with the Coney 2020 thing because he was in Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
It was Coney 2012. My bad.
Because it's like that one. They took it. They took it and made quote things. There was like a movie that was made in Uganda.
I don't know why that's so funny.
People tried to cancel it and everything, but it's like even the creator was like, I love it. He's like, it's amazing. Actually, they quoted. I forget the name of the movie that the Knuckles quotes from.
That has nothing to do with that Coney 2012 thing.
Ebola.
But it's so funny to look at.
Yeah, that's where that whole phrase is like, "Do you know the way?"
Yeah,
came from a few years ago.
Well, Canada also closed a section of the Great Lakes there. So around the same time, and then there was another. They were doing these military exercises all up around the Great Lakes over the last week. So that's 4 things shot down. There's one thing shot up off of North Alaska, and here's the weird thing though. It was off of northern coast of Alaska, and they're saying it was the size of a small car, and you had the pilots saying that it didn't have any propulsion. And then you had some people saying you had conflicting reports, but it seemed like the news was kind of embellishing this stuff to make it sound like the pilots were saying, "Ooh, it had no means of propulsion that we could tell, but it was." That's what I was going to say. I mean, it could just be floating there and have no means of propulsion. And then there were others that were trying to say that it was like, oh, it made all the sensors go out on their jets, and it was the size of a small car, and they shot it down. But I don't know. That one was all over the news on like Friday, and then yesterday there was a couple more.
It's like a
And
small car. It's the alien tourist and their little Yugo.
Yeah.
Their little Yugo.
I have a dumb comment,
what's
and
it?
it's just going to come out. Why haven't we made a craft that essentially looks like a Dyson fan the size of a swimming pool?
I think they have.
I mean, it's just go, just go wild, And in that case, you make it into a weapon.
No.
What we were talking about earlier, maybe the chat can chime in while we look at some of this other stuff in the sky. We're seeing the scanners that you can look at. There's been reports of mystery booms
Yeah.
all up and down the Appalachian region because I'm paranoid and sit there and watch the scanners like an old man.
Can we get into that here in just a little bit? Because I do want to bring that up.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure, like, while we're looking up, and you said maybe they want us looking up so we're not looking down. I'm just saying, I heard a boom.
Yeah.
Cliff heard a boom. I'm just saying, there's booms.
Yeah.
You hear a boom?
I wanted to show you some of the stuff that is in the sky that were being shown a little more. This one, this is pretty interesting. This is from Michigan Today, and let's see. I'll probably have to blow this up full screen for y'all to be able to see it. But right in here, you can see this small object right here.
Oh, I thought we was looking at that airplane.
No, it goes under the plane. See it?
Over here from this angle, I can't see that.
Lean
Back
in,
it up a
Goff.
little bit. All right, see it start to come in right here.
Yes.
Looks like a mouse, like a cursor on the screen, doesn't it?
See how much faster it goes by. Now, it could be a little something closer to the field of view of the person filming it than the plane, and it could be a bird or something. But
What if it's just a screen caption? Somebody took their mouse across the screen.
that's possible too. I mean, it's hard to really say without any better visuals than that. But that's over Michigan City, Indiana, on the shores of Lake Michigan, where all the other trouble is going on. Twitter user Mike LaChance shared this picture saying this is the sky over Michigan right now. The sky over Lake Michigan right now.
That's a Vedic image, or a curmudgeon of one.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that's from, honestly. I've
know
seen it
these,
in Ancient Aliens before. I've seen the picture,
The
but
sun, I'm not sure. I know all these little like plus symbols and the sausages and stuff. Those are described, and those are actually images that you can find in the Hindu Vedas because they have. They don't outright say space battles, but it's
They
it reads
describe
exactly
it.
like a space battle to me.
Space garbage. It's all
and
the
what is it?
Oh crap! Falling out of the sky finally.
Uh,
It just got too crowded.
It's like, okay, our past, okay, this is like when this was originally concept. It's like all of our past great societies, we had satellites and space shit up there, and it's all just raining down on them.
Well, the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita both talk about these Vimana that were, flying cities, basically. That it sounded a lot like, if an aircraft carrier could fly.
Yeah, like Mega Man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they were said to have battles with one another.
Things in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
There's
The big aircraft carrier.
whatever
things.
they're called.
But I thought this
Somewhat
image was
constipated.
particularly apropos, though.
Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
I'm pretty sure this is a newer image, but I'm not. I'm thinking this was like, I never saw that.
I got it down. I'll bring it.
It's pretty good.
This looks like a European city, though, right? Doesn't this look like Prague or Belfast or
Looks
something like
Tartarian,
that?
If we're gonna be honest,
Uh,
with the what they call antiquitech is the term that they're throwing around online now for buildings that have strange, unexplainable spires because they think they used to have a function.
And then you've got this explosion right over here. Let's just say that this is the east. Is this the?
Oh, that's the vegan factory over there. Doesn't it seem like those suckers explode? That looks like a bomb with a bunch of marbles in it. And I'm not sure what that thing right there.
I'm
It
not
looks
sure
like some
either.
kind of an Emmy off Cuphead.
Bunch of weird
The
shit.
sun
though.
looks constipated.
But all this stuff, along with that, you also had the earthquake over there in Turkey. Have you guys seen that?
No.
I heard of it. I've not looked.
Okay, there's a
into it,
huge
but I heard
earthquake
something.
that killed like so far 30,000 people.
That's pretty big.
It was a 7.8 earthquake, and then there was like a 7.5, I believe, or no, I believe it was even a bigger. It was even a bigger one. It was a wood carving took place in Germany in the 1500s. Okay, thanks, Honey Pie. I was thinking it was around 1500, but I couldn't remember. So yeah, I appreciate that.
We'll
But-
believe anything you write, by the way.
No,
Imagine if Alvin was
I'm pretty
lying
sure
to us.
she's right.
That'd be so funny if Alvin just been full of shit this whole time.
Uh,
It's like no cigarette cult for you.
No, I'd actually have to respect it because they've been dragging us on for so many weeks.
I'm trying to find this one video that Citizens Free Press posted from Turkey, where I sent it to myself in email so I could show it on the show. Let's see,
Do
where
you
the
think
heck
if
is
we all
it?
concentrated hard enough, we could wake Spill up from her nap?
I don't know. We could try. Maybe this is it. No, that's the train.
Put our head together and it's the magical
Mhm.
goo in our brains. It will come out like Care Bears things.
Synchronicity. Like the rings on the Power Rangers. Only when we do it, it'd come out like some kind of weird golem-like homunculi that just kicks people in the shin until it disintegrates back into our ring.
Don't you mean Captain Planet?
Okay, let me show you this video
Yeah,
real
ours would
quick.
be a golem, is what I'm saying. Like if we just
Well,
put
when
our
you said the
power-
Power Rangers with the rings,
Oh, yeah.
did you mean Captain Planet?
I meant Captain Planet, but they got the robot. Our robot would just be shitty too. That would just fall flat.
Look how huge this is.
It would
where
just
opened
electrocute us. That's all it would do. Oh yeah. So it made a
Massive,
canyon.
massive earthquake. Oh yeah.
Wow.
I forget how wide they said it was, like 165 meters wide or something like that, or even
From the
maybe
scale
bigger.
of the video, it's sizable.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm guessing there was already canyon, and they built the houses onto the side of the rock.
I don't
I'm
know.
guessing.
I think there was
what it looks
I
like.
mean, it went all the way across. It was taken down like huge. There's buildings. There's video we can't show on YouTube.
What I'm saying is, like, if you look at these building structures, it looked like this. It looks like this was already here, and the buildings were in.
I
the...
don't know. That's possible. It was.
Well, look how perfect these trees are.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Keep going, and this all just looks like natural features that are.
That looks like just the natural canyon.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering where the.
I don't think
Unless
this
we're
was.
not looking at houses.
No, I don't think this was anywhere there was
that
houses.
was just
650 feet wide, 100 feet deep. Locals say they heard a loud explosion before.
gigantic
Um,
sinkhole.
There was reports of flashes in the sky, and a lot of people were saying. Now I'm pretty sure that it's normal to have like static electricity and stuff before an earthquake, or is that am I just imagining that?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's normal to have lightning and discharge, but here's
Probably.
this video.
Well, I mean, it's
it
a
would make
big,
sense.
Big energy. It's a transfer of energy, so I mean, lightning would make sense.
Well, this was going on. There was a guy on Twitter who predicted a couple of days before that there was going to be an earthquake in Turkey, because he said that this is the first time we've had the planetary geometry that we've had where Uranus is in relation to certain other, I don't know the details. What's that?
Uranus.
When you say that.
Say it
Uranus.
like it's in Carter County.
Or
yeah.
Uranus, I think is the way you're supposed to say it. But Uranus was quaking. Uranus,
This jive.
yeah. Uranus got in the right position. It caused an earthquake. But no, there was apparently he was saying based on this there's going to be an earthquake in 3 days, right, or in this 3-day window. And then there was, and of course the fact checkers jumped on to say there's no way that planetary alignments can cause this. This guy just got lucky and guessed. And there was other people who saw these weird lenticular clouds.
What the hell does our moon do every single day?
That's what I thought. And
It's like, it controls this freaking planet.
it controls the tide. Uranus is way bigger than the moon. But not only that, you know, Jupiter, for example, they reckon the whole reason that is it Enceladus that has liquid seas, or is it Europa?
Europa
That has liquid on the inside and
Yeah,
frozen
it's
on the
frozen-
outside.
Frozen ice on the outside, and then it has from the core of it and the actual radiation coming from Jupiter itself. It actually is hot enough to have liquid salt water,
Right, because
just like our oceans.
the pull of Jupiter's gravity constantly is working on the pieces of this planet and causing friction, which makes enough warmth to keep the inside of the planet, liquid.
And then you
So
have like Io, which is explosively volcanic, which shoots stuff out into space from its volcanic eruptions.
I mean, I'm not an astrology person per se, but I'm definitely open to the idea that force is strong enough to reach all over. We know that the force of gravity does reach all over the whole solar system. So the idea that there couldn't be a certain resonant frequency between certain planets lining up a certain way that could cause something like that is not out of left field to
it's
me.
It's electric universe theory, right?
Yeah, well, that's one part of it. Yeah, that's electric universe is that gravity is all based on electricity, and then it's far more it propagates over the solar system a lot more than we
It's
thought.
like all of its waves, light, sound, everything. It's just how it goes, and that gravity moving with all that. It's like it all has to go somewhere.
It's all a system, and it all interacts with one another. Alvin says volcanic eruptions bring static and lightning due to underground lava flows, and yeah, that makes sense. So I'm not surprised to see that. But people are showing these lightning and saying, "Oh, this is weird. This must have caused it."
I don't know if it was recent or not, but I saw a picture that I think the big Jesus statue in Rio got struck by lightning.
Yeah. Christ the Redeemer got struck by lightning. Yeah, and you've got this. There's this Diana Sosoaka. She's a Romanian. She's a member of the Romanian Parliament.
Good name.
And she's saying that it was HAARP that caused this thing, right? And then you've got people showing the lightning flashes, and then Stu Peters says, I can't quite put my finger on what this reminds me of, and shows this lenticular cloud that showed up in Turkey the day before the quake. And so it's got a lot of the conspiracy people saying, oh, it must be HAARP to do this, And then, this says readers added context that this cloud occurred back in January, and it is physically impossible for HAARP to make lenticular clouds. But, people are talking about it, so I thought I'd bring that up in this part. But either way, a lot of people are really distracted by a lot of different things, and they're giving nefarious implications to a lot of the events that are happening around right now. Man, a lot of people are saying these are distractions. But distractions from what? I don't know, but this definitely happened. Let's see if we can catch this video here. We've got the spy balloons there. Well, this is they're seeing green lasers. Well, where's the video? There is video of this. Some satellites Chinese satellites. Their lasers were reaching the ground in Hawaii, and people were filming them. And I wanted to show you videos of that. No, I mean, here we go. Here's from New York Post. And these are from Chinese satellites. So I guess, Marjorie Taylor Greene or whoever it was talking about their Jewish space lasers, I guess they just needed to be talking about Chinese space lasers, because here they are.
Looks like they
to glitch in the matrix.
Looks like they squeezed the northern lights together, doesn't it?
Honey Pie says, I thought it could be directed energy weapons. It could be electrical sparks too, I guess. A few minutes before the Northridge earthquakes, the lights dimmed for a second. And there's the Chinese space lasers. And I think there's a video on this, if we can get it here, from New York Post. Here we go. Here it is on YouTube. That'll be easier to watch. 36 seconds. Chinese space lasers. Maybe we owe Marjorie Taylor Greene an apology for making fun of her for her Jewish space lasers.
If you were a Pokemon, what would your noise be? You'd be all, okay, that's cool to say. I was just trying to buffer for all this thing buffers. Mine would be Meep. I don't know why, it just would be. You'd think it'd be Tim. I imagine Toby Keith, if he was a Pokemon, would be Toby Keith. We got it going? Cool.
Toby Keith!
Toby Keithmon. Tobymon.
Pokemon!
So
this is the Chinese space laser.
So you can see the lasers, or is that maybe some vapor blowing through them so you can see what's there?
Well, I mean, I guess it's when it hits the clouds and stuff here that makes them, just kind of like Solid Snake blowing his smoke on our lasers.
Or a balloon?
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of satellites. I also seen people posting pictures of the Starlink arrays from all over the place, because people are looking up now, right? They don't normally look up. But people are looking up. They're seeing Elon Musk's Starlink arrays going across the sky. Let's watch this real quick.
We often forget how much unites all the members of humanity.
That's
We need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bond.
Wouldn't that be convenient?
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. Yet I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
I like the way he says alien.
What could be
Alien.
more
Alien.
universal
Alien.
than war and the threat of war?
Alien. I like the way he says that. Alvin says, "Why it's the planetary paths. That is why Q said they cannot stop what is coming." Yeah, he did say that a lot. Nothing can stop what is coming. And he also said Patriots in control. So I don't know, man. Seems like he's pretty far off on some of that stuff. But you know,
Heard, didn't keep track, thought it was interesting. That was my comment. That's the summary of Q for me.
yeah, I kept up with it just because I figured one way or the other. Okay, for it not for the person not to be arrested, it's an op from one side or another. Otherwise,
You don't think somebody could get away with that for the whole?
I don't know, man. I would think they would be arrested if they were not working at least for the federal government in one way or another. I don't know whether they're good guys or bad guys, but I feel like almost anybody else would get
You
arrested.
don't think it's the easiest solution? It's just the CIA.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be. Yeah.
So it's a op.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's either an op from somebody behind the scenes in there
Gay op.
to try to there's the idea that it's all to. Well, it's either one of two things to me. It's either it's all created as a political distraction for the right, or it's real. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much that's the only two options. So either way.
What if it was an AI the whole time?
Yeah, I thought about that too because there was an AI called Tyler at the time that was very interesting in the news. That I wondered if that wasn't who it was.
What if it was like an Oracle AI where it uses all the existing data on the internet to make predictions? And that's why it got sometimes right and sometimes not. It's because humans are a little bit more predictable than what it had access to.
It could be.
Not everything's on the internet. You know?
Yeah.
The other half's still out here, folks. Wink.
Well, a lot of people are talking about HAARP right now, but then with all these other things in the sky, a lot of people are talking about Project Bluebeam. Journalist Serge Manost.
Project Green Beam over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all you do is change the color, and it's pretty much it.
Project Green Beam.
He's
a green bean, as in half runner.
Yes.
Project Half Runner.
Half runners in the sky.
well,
That's what the sausages are. And the balls inside the bongs are the beans. Man, it's Bean Earth.
does Bluebeam? This is, as far as I know, this is where this come from. Is journalist Serge Manost.
Okay.
Writes in his 1994 book, Project Bluebeam, there's an experiment by NASA and other government agencies to lead us into a global government by fooling us into a staged tribulation featuring a staged holographic alien invasion to bring in a false messiah to unite all religions into one world religion. He could also wrote that the holographic technology could be felt through touch and that certain frequencies you could hear voices talking to you. What's important is to become aware of this project so we cannot be deceived. That's what this person says. So I wonder how much, because when I got up on, after all this was happening, Project Bluebeam was like the number 30th thing trending on Twitter after yesterday. Aerospace over central Montana was closed down, and experts expect another aircraft to be shot down. And Project Bluebeam was right up there on the top searches in Twitter. And I saw some real interesting things here as far as a projection. So I want to show you this.
We've seen hologram technology move leaps and
Wow,
bounds.
he's convincing. He's not real?
Maybe you caught Jesse's look at 3D volumetric displays a few weeks ago. Now, researchers from the Interact Lab at the University of Sussex have created three-dimensional holograms you can hear and even feel. They call their device the acoustic trap display. Essentially, it's using sound to manipulate a tiny particle that traces out these images. Here's how
So
it
it's
works.
sound.
The display is made up of an array of small.
So yet again, something comes down to sound.
It's LED interacting with the sound. It's light interacting with the sound.
Mm-hmm.
Sound waves keep the beads suspended in midair, and they can manipulate the bead's position. The bead moves around the display too fast for our eyes to see, so what we see is a 3D image. And remember, this is genuinely a three-dimensional image. It doesn't just appear to have depth. That means it can be viewed from any angle. Now, believe it or not, this tech is actually inspired by old school.
So that's one thing they have. Let's look a little bit further because there was a guy out in public with this projector. And let me find it real quick. Here's one holographic projector here. it appears pretty well. That's in Madison Square Garden.
And they use the sound.
I don't think that one. No, I think that's all lights.
This
but
one's
I'm
all lights.
but I'm not sure about that. I don't really know that much about it.
I could have all lights.
It's just one that I saw. I don't think it's on the scale on that other kind. But there's let's see here. Where's the other one I found? With I should have saved the specific tweet with it because it had a guy out on the street demonstrating it.
Although
But here's
the one a couple down from that with like the insert new
this one.
yeah.
New destruction. And a lot of people did say that after COVID would come, they said when COVID doesn't work, if they can't get everybody jabbed this way, they're going to bring out the aliens because that's the next thing in the playbook. And then lo and behold, all the aliens all the UFOs start coming out. Let me look just a little bit further and see if I can find this one.
We're due for a mega celebrity next.
What, find out they're an alien?
No, just what was that car blowing up?
Don't get distracted, Tim.
Too late now. We're due for a mega celebrity, kind of like when we had you keep stuff.
This is just an example of how they say Project Bluebeam technology would be used. So you'd see something like this.
Looks like a Harry Potter character. More than
Yeah, but people who saw that would say that's the Virgin Mary or that's Jesus or Alvin. He says he's talking about Q. He says classic Army psyop used the Socratic method as a means to lead people down rabbit holes was pioneered in the 70s with the 4th PSYOPs groups, Fort Bragg. Yeah, and then you get into Mind War with Michael Aquino and all the whole satanic PSYOPs version of the military back then. That'd be a good show then. Really get into that Mind War stuff and Aquino and all his connections to modern military psychological operations. But let's look here. Since I can't find the video I was trying to show you, I'm going to look just a little bit longer because it was pretty good. Now because the guy was just out here and had his holograph thing set up on the street, and he was showing how you could basically just make realistic looking holographs with a portable device that a civilian can own, and that video is no longer there. Can't find it. And then you see fake stuff like that where they're trying to make it look like you can have whales just jumping out of the gymnasium floor at your local public high school.
Probably could with the one that has sound.
Maybe. Yeah, if you had it on a large scale. Yeah.
I know the early ones that you could find is something real similar to what they do on the Disney castle at nighttime and what they do on the Harry Potter castle at nighttime, which is something you can find real easy because so many people had videos of it.
Like
it's essentially a projection of the castle itself is beamed onto it, and then they manipulate that image. And it looks like it's actually on it because the part of the image itself is very much real.
That's kind of how the one I was going to show you is, because they actually project it on an object, and it makes it look like there's color on it and parts of it moving. But I can't find the thing now. It was in here with this list of all this stuff. I just saved the whole list, but
those aliens with the stick robot things seem very inefficient.
What do you mean?
Like the War of the Worlds ones with the big stick legs.
Oh yeah.
Tripods.
Yeah. Seems very inefficient to be that tall.
Yeah, it's no wonder they made them in the PBS version of War of the Worlds. They made them just fly. Because remember that how they were just floating along in the novel and I can't remember if it was.
I didn't hate the Tom Cruise.
In the Tom Cruise movie, they had the 3 legs.
Yeah,
and in the novel, they had the 3 legs. I liked the Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah. I just thought in concept, the big bony legged robot thing.
Yeah.
Was pretty stupid. Do you remember, or did you ever watch Doctor Who?
I've seen some of it, off and on.
I don't remember what the name of these creatures are, but there was a creature that was essentially a tank, and it moved super, super slow, but everybody was scared to death of it.
The Daedalus or something like that?
I think it was that, yeah. And, but essentially they would always leave the killings like a mystery because in the end it's like a really slow R2-D2.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was like suck your brain out or something with like a plunger. And apparently back in like the 60s and stuff, that was terrifying to these people.
Yeah.
But then when they translated it into modern times, they wanted to answer the age-old question because there was a joke that was going around that these things can't go, all you have to do is go upstairs, what are they going to do? Mm-hmm. And so they tried to fix this problem. They thought they were going to fix it, but the internet made sure that that didn't happen because the internet likes to laugh at dumb
Mm-hmm.
stuff. They had this thing suddenly propel itself up, a little rocket ship, and fly up the stairs, and it was so stupid looking that it ruined the character forever. The end.
So now we know who's behind all the stuff getting shot down.
There's the beef. It's Chick-fil-A's behind all these things. Huh? I just want to see chicken.
Well, what could they be distracting us from? Well, I mean, there's a lot, really.
Booms.
Could be the booms.
I'm telling y'all, I heard a boom.
I know. I heard the boom, too. I heard a boom yesterday. Tim mentioned it to me, and I had heard one just that day.
I hear all the time is that I'm just not associating it with.
Well, see, I hear people shoot guns out here all the time.
Very, very custom to gunshots.
There's
So sometimes you do hear one, you're like, that wasn't any gunshot. That doesn't have the same report that a gun.
well, that's the thing, man. Because where I'm at,
It's
I
girthier.
I can tell. I can hear a pistol pop, pop, pop. You know, that's a 9mm. You know, you can tell pretty well. You can hear an AR, ka-toom, boom, boom, boom. You know, more concussive. You might hear like a 12 gauge or 30-06 even kind of have
the
the
hand
big
of God, your
kaboom.
friend,
You know,
brought to the gun day show thing we did.
what's that?
The whatever that giant thing he set down, and it made the earth quake when he would fire it.
What was it? I don't remember.
I don't know. I'm not a gun person. I just remember it was that big ass gun that had to have a stand put on there that you had to screw it on and stuff. And it was,
Oh, there was that was just a 308, but
Alright.
that's still a pretty big boom. I mean, but this was, I'm used to hearing 308s, 30-06s, big, 12 gauge
Snap-on's out
shotguns.
there too. And Snap-on makes quite a bit of that noise at night, and I can hear it from my house.
I'm used to hearing all that. I know what that sounds like. And there I was hearing there was somebody out shooting a handgun, and then all of a sudden I hear, and it was like the only thing that could have been that I know what it was. It was the afternoon. Yeah, it was either. I mean, it had to be at least a good sized cannon, to make a boom like that. It could have been a cannon, but it was not a small arm, like a traditional small arm that most people have around here. I guess a cannon's technically still a small arm.
Drive-through at a restaurant. Zaxby's.
Yeah.
So it was in the afternoon, yeah.
Yesterday?
I don't remember. I remember it was in the drive-through at Zaxby's, and I thought I ran over something. That's how loud it was. I thought I'd squished something. We was both like, "What the hell was that?" And was looking around. I was like, "Actually, I think that was outside." It just didn't have the same. Like I said, I can hear Snap-on, which is probably about a mile from my house, but it makes a really ungodly racket around 2 a.m. at night, and you can hear it from pretty far away. Now that's a deep, girthy boom.
Yeah.
That'll actually rattle you if you're nearby.
Big industrial sounding boom.
Yeah. Whereas this one sounded, this stupid description, but this is what it sounded like. It sounded like a small object breaking the sound barrier.
Yeah, it could have been something breaking the sound
It
barrier.
sounded like something breaking the sound barrier, but it just didn't echo the same, and the pitch of the sound itself was a lot less deep, is what I meant.
Well, I had one thing that I saw that was not. It was all over the back pages of the internet, like the weird guys in Twitter that I follow, and like it wasn't on like the front pages of Reddit or anything, but it's starting to be. Honey Pie says maybe all the food production plants being burned down. Yeah, that's still going on too. I thought that sounded awfully suspicious last year, but I'd looked at somebody's investigative reporting, and they were showing that, we actually always have a surprising amount of food production facilities catching on fire, and that's actually a pretty regular occurrence.
It's just
it was very slightly up. No, it's just people started finding that it was weird. And because there was like all these food production warehouses are going down, and the Tysons, and it's like there's been 22 going down that have gone down this year. That's a whole lot. What's going on? And then this person did an investigation of it, and they found it was an average of like 18 or 19, and so it was up, but not like it wasn't crazy for that to happen. But I do think that it does seem odd.
Interesting statistic that happens.
My mind kind of wanders into like some weird fringe territory. You're like, okay, if there's all that like food processing plant, it's probably especially like meats and stuff like that. You have all these things getting killed there, so there's all this like negative energy.
Yeah.
I wonder if it
And
wouldn't
it
just be
causes like some sort of
combustibility.
weird or possibly that with all like the dead
Dead
corpses.
stuff? Yeah.
Well,
like, like plants even break when you break down like plants in a compost heap. You can pull like the top layer up, and it's noticeably hot under there. So you imagine what living stuff could do. I bet it could get combustible.
And that's where we bring us to. We talk about all this dark energy. That brings us to Ohio.
I was also thinking that could be like
blood bomb.
poltergeist, like like they're open up like little hell gates in other dimensions.
Well, that's again brings me to Ohio, and often.
You're not wrong. Okay, there was a meme I saw the other day going back to Elder Emo status. They said Ohio isn't real. It was made up by Hawthorne Heights to sell records.
Well, I got a friend who lives there right now. He lived in Tri-Cities for a while, and he moved up to Cincinnati. And I have to talk about all the Ohio memes that I see and stuff. But
I've been to Ohio, so
I've been there a
well,
couple times.
Stephen King.
Dakota, still don't believe in it.
You know how Stephen King wrote all his. You know how Stephen King wrote all his novels in Maine and stuff, but a lot of characters in his novels. Well, not all of them were in Maine, but most of them. But a lot of the characters in his novels, the bad guy would come from Akron, Ohio, or in like the Talisman movie, the Portal of Hell was in Akron, Ohio. And so Ohio is supposedly, this big dark place of dark energy. Well, what we have, we're going to do what?
Where's Buffy at?
I have no idea.
Because she has a hell gate under wherever, what is it, Sunnyvale or whatever the hell it was?
Sunnydale.
Sunnydale. I'll figure it out what you did that.
Yeah.
Well, this was in Ohio here. This is in East Palestine on the east coast of Ohio. And there was a train derailment, a train full of vinyl chloride, a toxic chemical that is a hardcore carcinogen. It derailed. And they actually had, according to the news there, they had the local sheriff's department. I'm not sure why they were the ones that were doing this, but they actually exploded it, blew holes into it to burn the vinyl chloride because they reckon it would be less toxic than having it explode and go all into the atmosphere. So they poured it out, they blew holes in the side of it, 4-inch holes in the side of these tanker cars, and they burned it. And I was just I messaged my friend in Ohio and asked him, I was like, dude, this looks awful lot like Trioxin 245. You better get out of there before it rains. And then lo and behold, they were talking about, well, this could cause acid rains because this vinyl chloride, I forget the, let's look it up here. Yeah, it's vinyl chloride, but it puts a different phosphogene gas, I think it is, that it puts into the atmosphere.
Well, it's got to come down.
Yeah. And,
damn it, Ohio.
Well, was it Ohio? Was it something else? If you Google vinyl chloride, first thing you get is cancer.gov, vinyl chloride cancer causing subjects. Let's go down here to the Wikipedia a little bit, and it'll tell us the, or actually no, it was a PBS article that I had that told us how this actually breaks down. Let me find that real quick because I pulled it up. Here we go. Vinyl chloride, Ohio derailment that released toxic chemicals raises railroad safety questions. Well, I would think it would raise a lot more questions for the people around it who had the vinyl chloride cloud over top of them. But if we go on down here, it'll tell us, according to PBS.
If you live in Ohio, you should probably wear a mask for a while. Just saying.
Yeah, and buy bottled water.
Gas mask.
No, I guess this wasn't the article that I read that had it.
It's cancer, not COVID. We're good.
Okay.
But anyway, this happened over in eastern Ohio on East Palestine. Let's look at a few more pictures from it here. This is from the air.
The clouds like that. It
looks nasty.
Yeah, that's
no bueno. Suboptimal.
Very ominous.
Yep.
Looks like the clouds are moldy.
And here's we've got more photos of it
I
here.
mean, if that's like an actual photo, just the black ring coming off.
Yeah.
It's just like
that's the creepiest part right here is all this. I asked him earlier if he remembered that movie that I mentioned to him called White Noise. I'll show you why here in just a minute. Yeah, the News Nation had a reporter get arrested there. I've got a clip of that too. Dead fish in the creek. spreading out all over the place.
We're burning down another Palestine.
People are saying they're Chernobyling Ohio. And now the vinyl chloride is, it's the, and it's a 5-day evacuation. Apparently, they didn't tell anybody, according to UAE Exotic Falconry and Finance. They didn't tell anyone, according to them. But here's where, okay, here's another video of it. There you can see. That doesn't look like that control of a burn. A lot of that stuff's not burning. Vinyl chloride, it's a predecessor. Basically, the only thing it's used for, because it's so toxic, is to make PVC out of. It's polyvinyl chloride. But when you make PVC out of it, it's stable. This in this form is very unstable.
It's not very stable.
No. And you can see how huge that fire is and how much black smoke's escaping up there. Let's look at a little bit of this guy getting arrested here. We're going to fast forward here. He's set up. There's other reporters up here while the governor's talking. And this guy from National Guard, Ohio National Guard, starts pushing him. The state trooper there is standing up for him, saying, "Hey, you can't do that." I thought he was pulling a sword out. Looked like he was pulling out a cavalry saber. Look at all these tough guys here. You look how tough they are, ganging up to kick the guy out for doing his live stream there. He works for News Nation. It's just a lower. It's a national news company. Oh, they're State Highway Patrol, or not State Highway Patrol, but the local cops and the National Guard. And then they can't legally make him leave, so they have the owner of the building come over, or the building superintendent come over and tell him to leave.
What's the context, though?
He's just doing his news report. They said he was being too loud. He was over on the other end of the gym from the governor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people can hear us, but he was over on the other end of the gym from the governor. The governor said that he didn't want him kicked out and that it was outrageous that they kicked him out while he was talking. So I don't know, but this guy right here, this is the owner of the building. He's coming over. They've went and got him and said, "This guy won't leave. We come tell him to leave so we can arrest him for not leaving." So he comes over. Now they can arrest him for trespassing, even though he was doing First Amendment protected activity. But then when they get the building owner to come over, the building superintendent to come over and tell him, then they can arrest him for trespassing. I'm not sure why. He had no audio while he was. So
is this connected to the Pakistan thing?
The Turkey thing?
East Pakistan, though. Ohio.
Oh, East Palestine.
Palestine, yeah.
Yeah, he was there reporting on that. The governor, Mike DeWine, was given a press conference. Okay, so I thought this was awful strange because I remember, I don't think I mentioned this on the show, but I talked to Tim about it a few months ago. I asked him if he saw a movie called White Noise on Netflix. Now, it was one of the top trending movies on.
Just not the one he wanted me to watch. I saw the one with Michael Keaton.
Okay. Well, this was one of the top trending movies on Netflix at the time, and that was the reason I watched it. And I noticed it had Adam Driver, who played Kylo Ren on Star Wars.
Was it Michael Keaton?
I don't know.
Not more.
But Adam Driver was in this movie, and I thought, well, that's interesting. I'll watch it for a second. And I wouldn't call it a great movie, but it was okay. It was interesting. It was a social commentary kind of movie. And
The Happening. Just want to keep going. Sorry.
It starts off.
What's going on right now?
One of the things that he's talking about in that movie, the Adam Driver, he's a professor, college professor who's a specialist on Hitler, and he has this big monologue where he's talking about crowds and how people move and react in crowds, and how it doesn't matter whether it's to watch a rock concert. Where he does this thing where Elvis. Remember you talked about Elvis and Hitler are the same guy, or was that you telling me that?
Dallas Goldbug came up with that theory.
Okay, well this is a very similar thing that he goes through about how Elvis and Hitler are the same guy. And
Well, I don't know if it was Elvis and Hitler. They definitely think it was Walt Disney and Hitler.
Okay.
Not me saying
okay,
that.
well this is Elvis and Hitler, not literally the same guy, but they're the same personality types. They just chose to exercise those
I get what you're saying.
personalities in
different ways.
Yeah, Elvis was a rock star, and he had people crowding around him and swooning over him, and Hitler used militarism and national pride and all this stuff. So they basically were doing the same thing, but we look at the way Elvis did it as more productive. Well, some people do, and other people looked at it as evil at the time and didn't want him on television. But
I would
anyway,
argue with that a little bit actually.
well, let's not do that right now because it's going to take us away from the bigger point.
One sentence.
Okay, hurry up.
And I will have to stutter. Elvis didn't seem to do it maliciously. He had a team behind him. Where Elvis was trying to be famous, Hitler was literally trying to reshape the globe. So it's like, I don't know if they had the same intentions from the beginning.
He's talking about psychologically. They're driven by the same thing to have the crowd behind them, and they just did it in different ways.
But argue with it still.
Well, let's do that another time.
What about a stud?
Just what
that Italian stud versus little Hitler with his.
you gotta watch the movie White Noise. He does it in the first half hour. He gives all the similarities between
I already hate the movie.
Elvis and Hitler and their upbringing. Just watch the movie if you're interested. But anyway, these are some stills from the film. I could not screenshot it on my phone. I tried. It gave me a black screen, so I had to take pictures off of my television. But this is the stuff leaking out of the train cars. There was a train derailment, and then boom, the train cars blow up. And next thing you know,
I almost think we have our next YouTube short of you doing that with your head.
I think I've seen somebody do that before, so I don't think it's unique, but I just thought it was funny.
here we have the explosion, the black cloud beginning, and then you have the feds coming in to clean it up. And this movie takes place in the 80s. And Chapter 2, the airborne toxic event. This is based on the novel White Noise, which was written in 1985. So here's from binoculars when the toxic cloud first starts appearing from far away and people starting to get worried. And there's some pretty interesting scenes in the movie about how everybody's like arguing over nonsense semantics while there's this huge event going on around here, and you just have to watch the movie. I thought it was pretty interesting. I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but again, I thought it was worth watching.
It starts off with a complete bullshit premise that Hitler and Elvis were the same kind of person. Hitler was an art student, a bad one.
You just have to watch it about their relation with their mothers and stuff.
Elvis, all of his bandmates said that he was a very kind man that always let them write their own musical parts because he believed in them. He had a weakness for women and a love of food.
Well, Scotty Moore, isn't that his name? If you have that guy playing guitar for you, you gotta let him write his own parts.
Yeah, Elvis had a thing for younger chicks, but there's no stories of them taking poops on their chest. You never see them up there angrily screaming at the crowd that they all need to fight and kill the people with darker skin or anything crazy like that. Meanwhile, Hitler's up there having an aneurysm.
You're totally missing the point. I guess I just did a terrible job describing it. But in the film, where it was shot? It was shot all over Ohio. Train derailment. I don't know if that's where it took place in the film.
It's a good place to derail. Right?
But that was where they shot the film, and it came out in August 31st of 2022. So it was put out. It was trending on Netflix. It was one of their releases that they put at the top of their list, and everybody got a chance to see it. And there you go. It put those images in a lot of people's minds, millions of people's minds.
Don't Look Up.
And yeah, the movie Don't Look Up. And now you get stuff like this happening in real life.
Reverse psychology.
And it's barely made a blip in the news. And I wonder how much it had to do with some kind of predictive programming. Was it, are we just supposed to get ready for more stuff like this? Are we supposed to ignore it? Are they hiding this from us with all the UFO stuff?
Gun to knuckles.
I mean, I don't know what's up, man, but it's a bunch of weird stuff happening all at the same time, happening in the sky and happening all around the world, UFOs. And then I just thought it was real strange that you had this this vinyl chloride cloud up there, and I wanted to read here. Let me find the Skull King.
I
Had an
hate
interesting
quoting
thread on
myself incorrectly. Uganda Knuckles is not connected to Coney 2012. My brain just connected the countries.
They're saying dead fish
Sorry for
and
mismeaning.
they're saying dead fish and cattle reported up to 100 miles away up there.
Can we link this to the balloon?
And it's not making it easier for me to find the guy I'm looking for. There we go. This will find it. And it was not filmed in East Palestine, but it was filmed nearby East Palestine. Now, Skull King. Man, my stomach's making all kinds of noise.
Thought that was your butt.
No, that's coming next. Skull King says, thinking about how many train derailment stories we saw just last year and how if you want to desensitize someone to something, you just expose them to it in ways that seem irrelevant. All right? Any of that going on? Wait a minute. That's not the right one. Darn it.
Thinking about becoming a Taoist and a flat earther.
You are. Oh, go ahead. Tell me about it. Well, I get this pulled up the right way.
That's just filler. Mostly because I want to not care anymore. You know, weigh the Tao and all that stuff. I go out in the woods and eat leaves and tree bark. Sounds awful. But, you know, if you're doing that, you can't give a crap about too much. Yeah. And I'm not really wanting to be a flat earther. Doesn't sound believable to me. I'm sorry, guys. But there's so many YouTube channels like Humble Brag, like making these videos like exposing flat earthers, and it just seems like such low-hanging fruit that I want to be a flat earther just so I can be a dick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I always said, man, like, I'm pretty sure the Earth is not flat. It's a meteor that was coming in over France. It was all happening around the same time. No, it just burned up in the atmosphere. But all this is happening at the same time. But no, I've always said, you know, at least the flat earthers are questioning something. They might be wrong, but at least they are investigating. Most of you who are making fun of the flat earthers out there have never actually done any. You don't know the Earth is round. You just learned it in school that it is. You don't have any personal experience or investigation that led you to believe that. So don't be picking on the flat earthers too much. At least they're thinking about it.
I mean, I'll laugh at some stupid stuff, but
Honey Pie has a good point. And it's like a bunch of old Twilight Zone episodes are coming to fruition.
Yeah.
like old 1966 Batman episodes are all merging together. And Green Acres, that's what we're merging into. Those three just specifically
That's
together.
the place to be.
Yeah. Pretty soon we're all gonna look like well, we're already there. Everything looks borderline Dolly-esque with some pornography mixed in.
Okay, Skull King here. He answers to this thread. It says, imagine thinking there was actually a flying object the size of a car shot down over Alaska with no real proof. It's all distraction to pull away attention from the fact that our government just turned small town Ohio into the next Chernobyl. And Skull King says, here's what I can't answer though. Why? Why turn eastern Ohio and the surrounding area into a death zone? That didn't have to happen. And from what I've seen, it was done at least somewhat intentionally. So why? It's not outside the scope of reality, but we also have 4 countries involved in the UFO nonsense. Not that the USA couldn't get them to agree, but that's a pretty hefty hoax to get others to commit to. Anyone know if Asia is getting the same news about UFOs as the West? I just have a very hard time accepting that a blow-up ignite insanely toxic chemicals was just not just an actual option, but something chose to be close to a good option. What gets me the most is it doesn't even feel like the situation where one person or even one department fucked it up. I have to imagine blow up the massive hazmat train derailment goes through a few channels, especially when it's in a populated area. Some have said it's just corruption and money, but I really have trouble believing that this is something that would just be done for billions. I'm not an expert on anything here, so please don't take me as one. I just want it to make sense. But I think it's worth keeping in mind that the train, the balloon, and the UFOs are not potentially linked, at least not in the way we think. The next question becomes, if they aren't, then what the fuck is actually going on?
I got it.
Or maybe what's about to happen. Russia was supposedly start the next phase of whatever they're doing in Ukraine soon. And So somebody says, Cornelian here says, isn't Ohio an important agriculture and animal farming sector in the U.S.? Would be a shame if the soil was too permanently damaged, but it's too obvious to permanent poison soils. So the next thing would be to poison chickens so they lay contaminated eggs. What do you got, Tim? Let me lay it on me.
They're poisoning the aliens that are invading us.
Could be. Maybe that's where it's all linked.
Or somebody thought they could save $50 by just lighting that shit on fire and went, oh no, this isn't good at all. And it's just going to sit there and burn and poison people.
Oppo says because the byproducts of the burn are bad, hydrochloric acid and phosgene. The vinyl chloride and its precursor is worse, cheaper and less dangerous, as awful as it seems. And then Skull King says, the one question I come back to for this explanation is why try to hide it then? Why detain journalists, try to scrub it and fail? And why not get someone like Fauci on TV to say, while this is bad, the other options are worse? I'm not saying this wasn't the best course of action, I have no idea, but why all the spook shit? They've lied about bigger shit by taking control of the narrative. Why not do all that with this? And then Lorenzo says, the bigger the hoax, the harder the normies fall for it. In my opinion, the spillage and controlled release, talk about Orwellian speech, could be a convenient scapegoat for a cancer epidemic, like, cancers that didn't happen in young kids and healthy before some needles got into people. And then this guy here shows his car. This is his car 70 miles southeast of the incident after driving through rain. And
it is Ohio, so it might be the fentanyl.
Yeah.
Telling you. There's a burning fentanyl clouds.
But either way, there's a lot of strange stuff going on in the sky, a lot of strange stuff going on the ground. Now, let's get down to, what do you think? What caused it to derail? We don't know. Yeah, is there something, I don't know, maybe these big booms have something to do with it.
Maybe that big boom that was a train derailing in Ohio.
Maybe.
Like,
Alvin.
That falls into like I don't know, that same with the end time conspiracies, like how the Euphrates River dried up, and they say it's like actually like whenever it dries up, there's like some creature sealed under it.
Oh, it's hold on. One of them did dry up, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
One of them did because there wasn't enough water. Turns out they're rerouting waters to cities and stuff, to different areas. That's how they agriculturalize the desert out there, and they've done so much rerouting now for months. The Tigris and Euphrates, I think it's both, will be dry until the wet season comes back, and usually it would just go real low. Now it actually went completely dry. It's the first time I've ever seen it happen. That is in the Bible, if you believe that sort of thing. But it's oh God, hold on, it's Abaddon the Destroyer.
Yeah.
It's locked under the. Well, now they can go find Abaddon.
You've always liked Abaddon.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, did they dam it and put a military base under there? And, Abaddon was, because they even dammed the Nile back in the day and dammed a portion of it and put, like, military bunker underwater.
Do you think they just dammed it up and they're building a base and then they're going to let it flow? Or they just dammed it up to free the beast?
Maybe that's what Abaddon was.
Abaddon.
Abaddon was some kind of military technology
that
they hit. Yeah, they hit him under the river.
It's a UFO. They just need to pull it out. All right, release the floodgates, boys. We got Abaddon out.
Alvin says Ukraine has been using chemical weapons from us on the Russians, and Putin has recently authorized field command discernment on the use of tactical nukes. More to come. That's what we're being distracted from. Now, I wouldn't be surprised about that, Alvin. I saw that too, but I really couldn't verify because it was translated from Russian into English, and it was on a channel I wasn't familiar with, so I had no way of knowing if the translation was accurate. But it did say that Putin was looking at like a 72-hour window of determining whether to use tactical or strategic nukes on what's going on up there in Ukraine.
Seems stupid on his part.
That stuff I remember reading, it's like, yeah, anyone dropping any more nukes could like really screw up the atmosphere and knock us into a ice age.
The lizards
and
won't
not
want that.
A nuclear, basically the nuclear winter thing they've always figured
Well, that would
out,
really
like,
F up Russia because they're already cold all the time. They'd freeze themselves completely to death.
Maybe that's why the lizard people are building all these bunkers and seed vaults and arcs all over the country to get ready for that. I don't know, Alvin. That could be. My whole point is on this story is I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's a lot of weird stuff going on, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think they're distracting us from? Do you think it is a distraction? Do you think we're just being paranoid here?
It's too convenient to be just happening. There's some sort of guidance towards all this weird shit that's going on lately.
Are these booms deep underground military bases? Are there drilling? Is there combat going on underground? Who knows?
What if they're like doing some boring company stuff? And
Could
making
be.
bases under Appalachia right now. There has to be bases there
Oh,
already.
yeah,
They've been
I'm
doing gold
convinced
mining
there
here
are.
forever. All sorts of mining
The
operations.
geological services they had all the caves and stuff mapped out here back in the '60s. The federal government knows what's underneath us here, and the Army Corps of Engineer built the dam and the lake up there, so I would not be surprised if they have built stuff underneath that. I've told you before. I saw a C-130 go down at an angle like this right in front of me in the lake, where it had to either hit the water or pull up, and it did neither. It just disappeared and the sound went away completely, and I have no explanation for how that happened. It just leads me to believe there had to be something open up before it to fly into. And I may sound crazy, but you don't come down at this kind of an angle in a giant propeller-driven cargo plane, and then you have to either pull it up or you crash, and it didn't do either one of them.
And like I live, basically at the base of the hill, like, and more or less an eye shot from the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you'll see some of those planes, you're like, why is this so low? That you could feel like you could almost reach your hand up and touch it. It's so low feeling because it rattles everything. If you don't have glasses secure well on tables, it'll rattle and you'll have glass fall off and break.
And I did see I think I took a picture of it, two Black Hawk helicopters in Johnson City the other day go down around the Austin Springs area and looked like they were landing over there. I guess I don't have them. I could have swore I took a picture.
Pictures of people's feet in the bathroom?
Yes.
Nothing pornographic, just the sides of their feet into the stall. Like he wants to know whose shoes next to him. He's like, I got a pair of Hey Dudes here at the McDonald's I pooped at.
There's a weird niche for it. So.
Well, I thought I had a picture.
Oh, there's some Crowley buttholes in there too.
Duty feet.
I guess I don't have a picture.
That turd eye.
You're crazy. But yeah, I did see a couple of Blackhawks go down, land over there, or in the area, which is not common. You do see some military aircraft around here, but it's not common.
I think nukes are outdated.
You think so? You think we're doing,
stupid.
like Honey Pie said, more directed energy weapons? Or
I know maybe that's naive, but I just think it's from the... I mean, like, if we take the conversation down to
80-year-old
what
technology.
happens if nukes, it's like, well, we kind of know. So the idea I like to look... Well, another way I look at that, too, is there's some of those, like, Iron Dome technologies and stuff. Surely to God, a couple of places would survive. Or maybe they'd all get shot down. Who knows? But it just seemed like the governments at some point... Like stealth bomber, right? You said, what was it, like 74? Something like that? They didn't release it until the 90s?
Yeah, it was before that, but yeah, that's when it got in.
And so, it just seems like there would be something... I don't know, more high-tech than, just big-ass bomb at this point. It seems like there would be something more surgical,
Well, like Honey Pie was talking directed energy weapons, and you said this wasn't really surgical, and it didn't really have the precision necessary. Alvin says, what about Bell Helicopter in Piney Flats? They went down before that, Alvin, but, I mean, it could have been. I'm not saying it's anything crazy, but all the booms, and then I just saw two Black Hawk helicopters go down, and they could be going down just, routine practice or something else. I have no idea.
Maybe it really falls into like honeycomb earth theory.
Maybe there's a hole over there.
Into like the different stuff.
Well, it makes sense if there's something below us.
I think this is the new technology.
He's just coming out with a Maggie. Just Maggie!
Wake up, Maggie!
He's mad at her.
These
I'm gonna
tungsten
kick you in the head.
server rods from God. Let's make it all for one. Rods from God.
It's like a Pez.
Rod the Pez dispenser. Well, listen, I don't have any answers for y'all, but I just thought this was a bunch of weird stuff, and I felt like that it was something that wasn't really being talked about a lot. So I thought I'd open it up for conversation and see what y'all thought. Oh, there's
Our
Spill.
energy did it.
Hella
it
late,
woke
darn
her
it.
up.
Yes,
it was
it
just
did.
late. It took a while
Yep.
to get to the West Coast.
Yeah, we all focused on you there.
It's like the end of the Care Bear episode when they all put their tummy power together.
We did put our tummies together, so you might want to rewind this. Watch me and Golf rub our hairy nips.
Don't worry, we didn't do anything gay like Captain Planet, you know.
Our belly buttons did kind of smooch.
Let's see. Alvin also says, we have no response plans if it develops. So the American people don't know about it. We won't have to respond. Interesting. Yeah, you're right about that, Alvin. You know, you think about how they prepared everybody for the event of, you know, they wanted you to fear it, I guess, is the only thing I can figure, so you would be more under their control. But they told you to go hide under your desk, you know, duck and cover.
Like it was a tornado.
Yeah, if there was a nuclear bomb. But I guess if you were far enough away from the fallout zone, it might do you some good to duck and cover, you know. Like if it didn't kill you outright, there might be some benefit from it. But most people, you know, obviously.
If you can just find a refrigerator.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, though, you're like, everybody's thinking, well, what good is it going to do for me to duck and cover? This thing's going to obliterate me completely. And that puts you in the mind that you have to fear, well, I could be completely destroyed and obliterated. There's nothing I can do. I better listen to the government so they protect me from it. And, you know, it's weird that we're not seeing that kind of stuff. You know, because usually the government jumps on any chance they can to make you feel scared and more likely to listen to what they say, but we're really not seeing they're just completely ignoring it.
I don't think they are.
With the whole thing about the Russian nuclear, all it's about is Russia's being a bully. They're invading Ukraine. There's no talk about that. You know, we could be going head to head with the only, you know, country that has even close to as many nukes as we have. You know, back through the whole Cold War, they've focused on that constantly, and we're really not seeing any of that now. And it's kind of the same again with the train derailment in Ohio. It's just like Alvin said, you'd think, you know, they don't have a response plan, so they're just going to ignore it. You think that's what it is? Because it seems like a good way to make people scared and easier to control. And they're not taking advantage of it. But either way, whatever you think, I'd love to hear about it in the chat or the comments after the video, or you can email the show. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it, Alvin. I always like getting emails from you, sir. I definitely want to check out that one you sent me that we looked at a little bit tonight. But I think I'm about at the end of it. Now China says it has spotted a UFO. According to Newsweek there, it's just showing up. And apparently Twitter went down as Rihanna used Super Bowl halftime show to announce pregnancy. So I guess that's what everybody's focused on instead of UFOs and train derailments and nuclear weapons. Rihanna's pregnant.
Shouldn't we do it that way, though?
I don't know.
Like, would you really want the people that care about Rihanna dancing at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, you're right.
You really want them paying attention to anything? I don't know. Like, I'm not even trying to be insulting.
No, I know what you mean.
There's like a certain necessity for people to not have to worry about that stuff all the time.
It's kind of like you said, the people we don't want to vote. I'd much rather them be watching the Super Bowl than voting, but like that's what the machine has done over the last few years. It's got people who, and nothing against you if you watch the Super Bowl. I've watched it plenty of times. It can be entertaining. But I'm just saying, people who are obsessed with pop culture, maybe we just keep them obsessed with pop culture and don't invite them to throw their hat into the arena that affects the rest of us and makes rules for how the rest of us have to live. But that's what happened over the last few years. As soon as Trump entered the picture,
before that.
Yeah, well, I guess
Obama got all the college people all riled up.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. Politics has always been trying to reach the younger people, but it was like really when Trump started running, that's when politics really turned into popular culture, or popular culture really started having.
It became divisively popular.
Yeah.
But about the same time that what you call like hate clicking was a big thing. Yeah, they really play into because people really like to love things, but people really like to hate things.
It's true.
And so that's why Trump was so good for business, is because, you had a bunch of people who really loved him, and the other side didn't. Like, I mean, I don't give a damn about Biden. Like, he's boring. I don't even watch him anymore. It's not, the joke's over. It's not even funny anymore. And with Trump, man, he's not even office anymore, and he's got people's attention. So, CNN was smart. They'd start funding him. Get him back in office. We need to revive ourselves.
Hillary Clinton actually did put funds behind super PACs supporting Trump, and actually tried to get Trump to be the nominee because she figured she'd have a lot easier time beating him than she would Jeb Bush. And they did the same thing. The Democrats actually did that. Anybody that got the Trump's endorsement in some of these moderate districts that are purple traditionally, they would fund the Trump endorsed candidate to win the primary. That way they'd have what the voters there saw as a more extreme person as a Republican, and it ended up working. Like in several places, places that were normally just barely Republican actually went Democrat because those people there were moderates and they didn't want to vote for somebody who they saw as an extreme Republican. But yeah, we see a lot of tricks like that. But
I'm getting to the ring this year, and I don't ask for your vote. I just ask that you bring your own lighter.
That's right.
Everybody.
Cigarette cult. Hashtag cigarette cult. Hey, listen, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to this is more of a newsy episode than we usually do on a Sunday, but there was just so much going on, and I'm sure by the time Wednesday rolls around, we'll want to talk. Yeah. And I wanted to talk UFOs and stuff, and Project Bluebeam, which was the idea that they would put holographs in the sky and, make us think Jesus or the aliens are coming. And I think all this kind of goes in together with it. And so, make your own conclusion for what you think all this stuff is, or if you think it's related, or are we just being paranoid schizophrenics? I don't know. Maybe we're just putting too many patterns together because there are so many things that appear to link up that we're actually just putting puzzles from different boxes together. So who knows? But that's all I got for tonight. Fellas, you got anything else you want to leave us with?
I don't ask for your vote, but I would like you to bring me some ice cream.
Dustin, ice cream?
Sure.
Cat treats?
Yes. Cat treat flavored ice cream.
No, I'm not a fan like
No.
I thought that was sadistic when they did like the Harry Potter gummy bears or like the little jelly beans. It was like,
I hate them.
it's like here's one. You're like, oh, blueberry, and then another one. It's like disgusting. You're like, it's like earwax. It's like, well, why would you do that to me, you asshole?
It's like, why would you give me like butthole flavored jelly bean?
They literally do have like fart and puke flavor.
It should be if you give me a puke jelly bean, it should be lemon. That's the worst it should be. You shouldn't give somebody a product that tastes like earwax, you sadistic assholes.
Yeah, I hope you'll go back and watch the rest of it spill. Let us know what you thought. And we'll see you on Wednesday night. Dustin, you got anything else for us?
No, I don't.
All right. Good night, chat. Good night, everybody. Don't forget to like the video if you're still hanging with us. We sure would appreciate it. And go on Rumble. Cloud and Priven strategies. Yeah, we're going to talk on a lot of strange Jesus commercials in tonight's Super Bowl, says Alex. I'm glad you mentioned that because we're going to have, he said, a lot of strange Jesus commercials in the Super Bowl commercials. So next week, I wanted to do it this weekend, but then a couple of things worked out to where it wouldn't work out for this weekend, but I want to talk Satanic Panic from the 80s versus now. And it's a good thing because that'll give us a chance to watch the Super Bowl commercials and see what kind of stuff is in there. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Alex. We will be looking at the Satanic Panic then and now next Sunday. So definitely come back to that. Wilbur Kilb was going to be joining us then. Wilbur Kilb lived through the Satanic Panic of the 80s or even really young before that. He was young and, had all his rock and roll records burned by his religious parents and stuff like that. So he's a good person to talk to with that. And so it'd be really cool to have him in. So we'll be doing that Sunday. It's going to be a pre-recorded show, but we will be in the live chat. We still will be streaming it live, and we'll be in there talking with you in the chat. So can't wait to do that, and we'll see you Wednesday night when we get into our news and current events roundup for this week. Thanks, y'all. Oh, Dustin.
The Ohio's, they're really gassing the geese right now.
Seriously.
Man, there must be the giant
That is what they're doing.
There was a video of a bunch of crows flying south, yeah.
They're like the goose god wants poison gas.
Yeah, the citizenry stopped him in Johnson City. So there's probably lots of geese gassing's been stopped nationwide.
Giant goose up there, like huffing that gas, going. Every time you take the giant huff of it.
We've got to lull him back to slumber. We've got to lull him back to slumber. He's like the great old one.
The giant goose god doo-doo is like the way to end the world. Yes.
All right. Well, Kahonk Honk we'll see us in on Sunday. Hopefully still around. Yeah. Kathonk honk. All right, y'all. We're being silly now with kind of what we do around here though. But appreciate you joining us, and we will see you on Wednesday night. Thanks, y'all.